Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday in transit edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Not gonna make that either. Presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Hudco Roofing. Need to get out of here. HudcoRoofing.com. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, ProChargeEV, ProChargeEV.com. As a matter of fact, I am en route to Restored Motions, going to see Crystal. Hurt my back. Don't know what it did. Hurt the back. So, of course, hurt the back. There's one place to go. Go see Crystal. So, she's gonna get me right. Anyway, good morning. Hope y'all are having a magnificent start to your day. Scone Tea was fun last night. Somebody there said, it was Damon Gilmore, said he watched the final 30 seconds like 5 times. I don't even remember what we did in the final 30 seconds of Scone and Tea last night. The thing that seemed to pop off was the Delilah impression that I did. So, if you don't watch Scone and Tea on Wednesdays, you should, on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Actually, what you should do is you should come to Oliver Twist and hang out. Good time over there. Great place, great whiskey selection. You want to try rare and interesting whiskeys. They've got wine. They've got great craft beer selection as well over at Oliver Twist. We're there every Wednesday. So, got there in the description about college football's preseason All-America teams. And we did mention this a bit on AFR for those that missed it, but Phil Steele yesterday published his preseason college football America team. And I really enjoyed what I saw. 5 LSU Tigers. So Phil has 4 teams. First, second, third, fourth team, All-America preseason. 5 LSU Tigers. Harold Perkins was the only first-teamer. Mekhi Wingo was a third-teamer. And then you had Malik Neighbors, second-team offense. Will Campbell, third-team offense. Mason Taylor, fourth-team offense. So, 5 LSU Tigers in all 3 offense, 2 defense, which I think is really, really good representation. By comparison, and this is the thing that I really enjoyed maybe even more than anything, the Alabama Crimson Tide across 4 preseason All-America teams had 1 player on offense. J.C. Latham, their offensive tackle, 1. You know what? And it makes a lot of sense. Their offense wasn't great last year outside of Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs, both of whom are gone. So, who are going to be who's going to be the quarterback? You replace Bill O'Brien as your play caller with Tommy Reese. Who's going to be the quarterback? Who's going to take the lion's share of the carries? Do you feel like you have enough weapons at receiver? No, man. I'm telling y'all, I'm skeptical about Bama this year. First time since Nick's been there, they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. Got into a really good conversation about this on Scone and Tea. And, I think T-Bob was kind of asking the question, how has it happened with Bama? And my theory is that Nick just, we would talk about this forever, especially when Les was at LSU. And if you'll allow me, I'll give you sort of a brief deviation, a long-form explanation. LSU used to pump up the fact that it had more true freshman play than any school in the country. And they used to sell 3 years and into the league. Like, they would promote that in the recruiting pitch, and what happened was it ended up kind of biting them, because guys would show up on campus as a freshman with the idea already premeditated that they were 3 years into the league. And so you'd see guys like Malachi Dupree, who shouldn't have gone pro, but was a 5-star and came in with Fournette and Jamal Adams in that class, and it made up his mind that he was going pro after 3 years, so he did, and he should have come back. Gets drafted in the 7th round, and, I don't even think lasted a year in the league. And if you want to go back even further, what happened was, this is what happened. And Michael Brockers is always the example I use. So, if you remember, Brockers is a good defensive lineman who became a first-round draft pick. Well, Brockers redshirted in 2009. So they redshirted him in 2009. In 2010, Brockers plays a backup role, but plays. And then in 2011, as a redshirt sophomore, third-year sophomore, Brockers has the blow-up year in 2011, goes pro, and is taken, 16th overall over whatever he was. And LSU really only got 1 year out of Michael Brockers. And so at that point, that was happening, and that's when Les was like, you know what, screw that, we're going to play the freshmen. Like, if they're good and they can get on the field, we're going to play them, because if they're going to leave and go pro, we want to get as much as we can out of them while they're here. So that's when LSU started, like, I know this is a long answer, but I told you this was a long answer. So that's when LSU started promoting. I remember they would put out graphics every year, like most freshmen played in the country, because in the recruiting pitch, what they wanted to do was be able to say, hey, you can come here and you can play as a freshman. We're not going to sit you. We're not going to redshirt you. We're going to play you. And then what started happening is they had the reverse problem, because now guys were just leaving after 3 years no matter what. And so they cooled that. And I remember the first class that did it was that they started to see the benefit there was 2014. It was Lyle Collins was the first to come back and play a senior year. First big-time prospect who made that decision to come back and play a senior year. And he had a great senior year and should have been a first-round pick, and we all know what happened on draft night with Collins and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, so I think, when all that was happening and LSU kept losing all these players early to the draft, this is back to the Alabama piece, people would always ask, okay, well, how does Nick keep getting all these guys to stay? And it was a very regular thing. It was a common occurrence in Alabama's program that Nick would get these players that were highly rated and guys that were going to be first, second round draft picks to come back for a senior year. They would stay. And with the transfer portal now, I think that's what is biting Nick. I don't think he's figured out quite yet how to balance transfer portal, playing guys early, bringing people in from the portal, losing guys to the portal, how to sell or pitch it. And I think that's probably his real challenge right now. All right, let me say, well, I'm at a red light. Larry Garner, Brian Wynn, Weston Weaver. The Stallone impression. Bubba Tatum, is that the new ride? Yeah, so this is the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. The only difference between the Cross Sport and the Atlas that I had is it takes out the third row. I don't know if y'all could see, but the third row, I always just kept the third row folded down anyway. But yeah, man, this is it. Antron Hemingway, what's going on? Michael B, Tim Gotro, good morning, y'all. Good morning. So, anyway, all that to say, we were counting last night, and Alabama's lost like double-digit guys to the portal. Well, that guts your depth, and then in turn, you're younger, or you have to go hit the portal to supplement your roster. And then when you take players out of the portal, you have to hit on them. So, for example, look at what happened last year with Alabama. They went and got Harrell, the wide receiver out of Louisville, and he didn't have a great year. And the other really big name portal get from a year ago was Eli Ricks, who hurt his shoulder, and they didn't really materialize for him last year. So now they did get Jahmyr Gibbs out of the portal from Georgia Tech, and he was fantastic. But you see my point is, whereas the way Nick was able to build was getting those 4 and 5 stars and always having number 1 recruiting classes and getting those guys to buy in and stay, now you're seeing more often you're seeing guys leave early, leave after a year, whatever it may be, and go where they can play because they have the freedom to do that with the portal. And I don't think Nick has successfully found a way yet to convince those guys to stay and not go into the portal. It may not. It may just be the culture in this day of college football where it's just going to be an outlier when you have a guy stay and wait his turn, even at a place like Alabama. So that's why I look at Alabama and I say, and y'all are going to hear me say this a bunch. I mean, Media Days is coming up, week after next, and we'll talk about this a ton. But Bama doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They played 5 50-50 games last year, and they went 3-2 in those games. And that was with Bryce Young and with Jahmyr Gibbs. And now you lose Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding. You replace both your coordinators. You lose Bryce Young, who was the heartbeat of your team. I don't think their offense has a quarterback. Maybe Ty Simpson emerges and is a really good player. I think we know what Jalen Milroe is. Fantastic athlete. Really not a great thrower. Great passer. And they bring in a backup from Notre Dame out of necessity because they were in that tough of a situation at quarterback. So you lose your 2 best offensive pieces and your offensive coordinator, and you don't have experience depth. Yeah, you got a problem, man. You got a problem at Bama this year. You do. I don't think the schedule's impossible. I'm not telling you Bama's going to go 7-5, but I don't think Bama's a title contender. I think if you bet money on Alabama to win the college football playoff, you're throwing away your money. Reed Rule, Leon Williams, Michael Thacker. Morning, Scone. Love your content. Would you ever move to a national show? Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. Trivia Carter, Michael B. I'll answer your question in a second. Who else did I miss? Got it. Would ever move to a national show? Sure. But I also think that's not likely. Because typically, so for example, like if let's just say hypothetically, if ESPN Radio wanted to hire me, typically ESPN Radio isn't going to hire the guy from Baton Rouge to do a national show. It's not to say it couldn't happen. Matt Jones from Kentucky Sports Radio, who's built a really big following among like the Kentucky fan base. He does a weekend show on ESPN Radio National, Myron and Metcalf. Matt and Myron with Myron Metcalf. So there's that possibility. Look, I mean, we have a great relationship with ESPN Radio, and Jeff Martindale, who's the head of ESPN Radio at ESPN, is very aware. Like I know Jeff, have for a long time. He's very complimentary. He likes the show, loves our station. We are a Prime affiliate. So I mean, if I ever really pushed to get into that pipeline, I mean, maybe I could have an opportunity. Maybe. But then again, like, all the ESPN Radio national shows now are generally done, like split shows. So you have two co-hosts that aren't in the same place. I don't know if you can tell this, but like when you listen to national shows, especially on the weekend, you can tell like the shows are done on remote with the hosts in different locations. Both microphones sound a little bit different. You can tell if your ear is trained to it, you can tell the microphones sound a little different. Generally, they step on each other when they're talking. It's a little clumsy, but it's just kind of the way that it's been done. But the other thing too is like, I got a really good thing. You know, I live in my hometown. My family's here. Wife's family's here. I work for a great company. I guarantee I've built a really good thing here with affiliates all over the state now. I make a good living, and all of Drew's support system is here. Doctors, therapists, all that sort of stuff. To leave, boy, it would have to be a really like life-changing opportunity. And I don't think like many of those really exist in national radio anymore. Because the national radio has really been de-emphasized. Just look at what just happened at ESPN. I mean, they fired Keyshawn and Max, which was 2/3 of their ESPN radio morning show. I mean, I'm not laughing at those guys getting laid off. Forgive me, that's not what I mean. It's just an illustration that there's just not an emphasis on national radio anymore. You know, there's so much more in the content creation space by way of podcasts and vlogs and things like that. You know, creating content for the social platforms where people spend their attention. You know, for me, and I'll say this forever until something in the market changes that suggests a shift. There will always be a spot for local radio as long as it's in the dash in the car and it's free. Because there will always be people who will choose the free option over a paid option. I mean, like, I don't have a Spotify like Prime or whatever would be like paid account, or Pandora. Like, I listen to ads. It's not that I don't have $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever. I'm not gonna pay. You know, it's just a principle thing. Like, if I can get, as long as radio is in the dash, local talk will have its place, because people are always going to care about their local team. They're always going to want to hear about LSU, or if it's news, they're always going to want to hear who won the mayor's race and is it going to rain today and all that sort of stuff. Like, you're going to want to hear about the community in which you live, so there's always going to be that spot. Now, that could change tomorrow. There could be some new development that, and I understand people can stream and you listen to podcasts in your just plug up your Bluetooth and listen to podcasts in your car, which I do that a lot too. But as long as radio is in the dash and it is free and there's content about local teams and local politics and stuff, local radio will win and will have a place. So that was a long way of answering your question. I'm answering long form today because I'm driving to go see Crystal Poche, and I'm almost there at Restored Motions. By the way, shout out Crystal Poche. I tell y'all all the time, if you have any kind of pain that you're dealing with, y'all, I've had chronic back pain for as long as I can remember, and I mean this in the most sincere way possible. If I slip a disc, if I do something to tweak my back, and you gave me the option, Matt, we can take you to the doctor right now, or we can take you to see Crystal, I'd say teleport me to Crystal right now. That's not to say that doctors and therapies don't have their place. Of course they do. Of course they do. But I'm telling you, you want to get right, go see Crystal. Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Book a session. Trust me. Okay, I'm going to get my session with Crystal. I'll see y'all. Peace.